welcome to iHorror episode 33 or season 2 episode 11. I am your host James J. Edwards, and with me as always is your other host Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing better. I was a bit sick with a cold early this week, so I'm glad we're recording now rather than when I was zonked out on Benadryl.
And we're recording late too. We should have had you on Benadryl though. That would have been kind of a fun one.
Yeah, just like how that guy from Friends doesn't remember recording the first 3 seasons of Friends.
Oh, you leave Chandler out of this.
Or Stephen King doesn't remember writing Cujo because he was so coked out. Also with us, he's already jumped the gun, but we love him anyway. Your other host, John Correa. How you doing, Correa?
I'm doing good. You know, just glad to be back in my bed recording, because I'm sure other people noticed that our last episode, my portion of it. Don't get me wrong, James did a beautiful job. He worked so hard, but yeah, that was rough. Guys, don't record your podcast holding the microphone.
Yeah.
It pisses off your editor.
They couldn't even tell that it was a handheld microphone.
Oh, but you could, James. You could.
I see guys on YouTube doing their podcasts all the time with like one of those snowball mics, and they're holding it. And first of all, they're cupping it in their hand, which is terrible. And then they're like moving it all over, and it just makes me cringe. As a sound guy, it makes me cringe. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. There hasn't been too much that has come out since the last time we talked, but let's talk about Joker. You guys see Joker?
No, I did.
Did you see Joker, Korea?
Nah, I was working and I was also sick, but I was like, you know, that heavy man cold. Because, you know, when men get colds, we're like really dramatic about it. And like everything shuts down and like... You know, I know when I get a cold, I keep shouting, I'm dying at least like every minute. So I couldn't do a whole lot, but except
men are such wimps.
Yeah, I'm a huge baby when it comes to colds. So,
well, you should see it because it's one of my favorite movies of the year. It's only tangentially horror, but it's pretty horrific. And Joaquin Phoenix, if he doesn't get an Oscar nom, it's got to be there's some kind of bias because he is incredible in it. It's I've heard a lot of people complaining about that it's not a true Joker origin story. It's like, well, you know what? The Joker is a famously unreliable narrator. I mean, how many different stories about the scars did we get out of Heath Ledger's Joker? You know, I mean, you can't trust a thing that comes out of his mind. And then, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a point in the movie where you doubt basically everything that you have seen and will see from that point on. So it doesn't really matter that this isn't the Joker that you are used to seeing because it is a Joker. And I thought it was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that it's, you know, it doesn't matter what came before. Like, this is just, you know, the kind of a different take on the Joker. As for my thoughts on it, I mean, I really loved Joaquin Phoenix's performance, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't know, just something, it didn't quite mesh for me. Like, I don't know, I just felt a little disjointed. But yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. Just didn't think it was that great. And I do feel though that it is definitely horror adjacent because the big vibe I got from it while watching it was Maniac and like a lot of 80s New York sleaze type horror movies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically it's a spiritual soulmate to like Taxi Driver or The King of Comedy, you know, which is funny because De Niro's in it. He doesn't play the Travis Bickle Rupert Pupkin character, but he is in it. So it's kind of funny that it does draw such heavy influence from that. But it definitely has that sleazy New York, even though it's Gotham City, not New York, but it's freaking New York. It does have that dirty, gritty feel to it that I loved it. I thought it was terrific. Just last night, and it opens. But by the time you hear this, it will have opened this weekend. But last night I saw Zombieland Double Tap.
Oh, how was it?
It's if you liked Zombieland, it's more of the same. It's hilarious. It's not super scary, but that's mainly because zombies aren't scary. You know, it's more of a comedy than a horror movie. It's fun because there's a lot of... I love how all the characters are named after their home cities. So, you know, not only do you have Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock, but you've got Madison and Berkeley. And then these two guys show up, Albuquerque and Flagstaff, and they are carbon copies of Tallahassee and Columbus.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the trailers.
In the trailer,
Thomas Middleditch and
Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
It is, that leads to some of the funniest bits in the whole movie. It's having, you basically have two Tallahassee and Columbuses. It's so funny. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's cool. What are you guys seeing this week?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of new stuff, but man, I've been seeing a lot of horror stuff.
You saw something new last night, didn't you?
Oh, well, actually, yes. I did see Rabid last night.
Yeah, I want to hear about that. Sorry, I had to steer you there.
Oh, no problem. I mean, I was going there, but if you want to get to it now, okay.
Yeah, we're not.
But anyway, okay.
I want to hear about Rabid.
So, yeah, I saw Rabid last night as a part of Scream Fest in Hollywood at the Chinese Theater, and Soska Sisters did a remake of the David Cronenberg 70s movie of the same name, and yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It definitely had their kind of stamp on it, and I liked some of the decisions they made in adapting it. Like, they gave the main character Rose more agency and character, and there was this interesting backdrop of the fashion industry, along with like people going rabid and a lot of sex and violence all together in a lot of cases. And of course, good old-fashioned body horror. But the interesting thing that I noticed while watching it is that it is also kind of an overall homage to Cronenberg, because the Soska Sisters are huge fans of him, and they definitely showed it, like, because there are little shout-outs and references and homages to everything from Dead Ringers to Shivers. Yeah, I mean, the only real problem I had with it was that it was rather constrained by its limited budget. The effects were good. It's just, when you're doing a movie about a pandemic, and they don't really have a lot to work with, it's kind of hard to show that scale. But, yeah, it was cool. Like, it was worth a watch.
Cool. What else have you seen that's not new?
All right. Well, as I was about to say, last Saturday, I was at a horror movie marathon at the Dynasty Typewriter, hosted by Friday Night Fright, Secret 16, and the Voyager Institute. Because every several months they do a 6-movie marathon with a different theme, and this theme was horror anthology. So it was an anthology of anthologies, and we got to see some cool and very rare stuff. Like, let's see, it was Tales from the Crypt, Creepshow 2, Black Sabbath, Twilight Zone the movie, Asylum, and Tales from the Dark Side the movie, all on glorious 16mm.
I'm going to put in cheering crowds on Twilight Zone the movie and Tales from the Dark Side the movie, because those are
and I'm so glad they gave you a bathroom break with Creepshow 2.
Don't be like that.
The Raft is probably my favorite of both. Well, I don't count Creepshow 3. So The Raft is probably my favorite segment of the two Creepshow movies. But yeah, I think I kind of agree with you on the other two.
Why'd you have to remind me of Creepshow 3? Like, I was so happy with forgetting that movie existed. And then, like, suddenly... just ruined my night.
Oh, geez, sorry.
Thanks.
Although, you'd be surprised, Creepshow 2 actually got a pretty good reaction from the crowd. And rewatching it, I could old Chief Wooden has its moments, and it does have George Kennedy, but also The Hitchhiker, that one was pretty fun.
Thanks for the ride, lady.
Thanks for the ride, lady. And it was really cool to see Tales from the Crypt and Tales from the Dark Side the movie on the big screen and on film.
Tales from the Dark Side the movie, it always blows me away when I always forget that, like, Julianne Moore and Christian Slater, I mean, there are some huge names before they were huge names in that movie.
And Steve
I always
Buscemi.
forget that. Yeah, Steve Buscemi. They're all in the same one, the Mummy one.
Yes.
Yeah, and is it Buster Poindexter, the hitman for the cat? David Johansen. Buster
yes,
Poindexter.
I believe that was.
Yeah, when he was in the New York Dolls, he was Buster Poindexter, but I think his acting name is David Johansen. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is cool, just seeing that many pretty big name actors in one movie, and also I totally forgot Ray Don Chong was in the third one. The gargoyle one.
And that's James Remar, right? Is the guy?
Yes, it was James Remar. And yeah, no, it's just so much fun to see these movies with a crowd back to back like that. Yeah, because it's genius really with an anthology theme, because it's 6 movies, but you're getting like dozens and dozens of different stories all in one night.
And the way that anthologies are set up, usually there's a little bit of a crowd pleasing air to them anyway, because they have to get in, get out, and get their point across in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I imagine that 6 anthologies in a row just rolls like gangbusters.
Pretty much. Though admittedly, Black Sabbath kind of dragged a little.
That would be the dragger of the bunch that of the bunch that you named. That would be the one that I would guess would be a little
Slow. Which is why they put it in the middle.
Yeah. There's your bathroom break, Korea.
Yeah.
Nah, creep show too. Sorry. Like it's a fun one to catch when it's on cable every now and then, but like everyone keeps like, it says the same thing. Well, the raft saves it. The raft's okay.
Also wanted to mention, because I don't think we recorded this by the time I did it, but I was at the last few shows at Beyond Fest, so I got to see some cool stuff.
Yeah. Beyond Fest.
And actually, we me and John saw some stuff together.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you guys see?
Oh, we saw everything. No. Well, let's talk about the new stuff we saw, because we saw a lot of classic stuff. Like we went to a Tom Atkins triple feature, or I went to a Tom Atkins triple feature.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
As our fans should know by now from our Facebook, I did get my Tom Atkins doll signed on the chest, the bare chest. So,
what did he think about his likeness?
He thought the face was very likable, but he said, and I quote, "My body has never looked that good." To which I awkwardly said, "I don't know, man. We saw a few movies where you took off your shirt, and it looked pretty close." And then it got silent.
Cricket.
Yeah. Luckily, we took the photo before he did the signing, so he didn't hate me that yet. But we did go to the Jacob and I went to the world premiere of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And let me tell you something. It is awesome. First of all, they showed 2 of the most Kinder trauma episodes of the original series before. And it just set the mood right, because this new take on it is so well done. There's 3 episodes. They showed 2 because apparently like they just finished editing the second one before they brought it over, and it's perfect because it explores more of the Midnight Society group, the kids that tell the scary stories at the fire pit, but it also melts like their story into their lives really well, and they develop these characters so well that even one of the big characters, when something happens to them, you felt like, oh shit, where did that kid go? Like, I'm actually concerned on what happened to this child.
Yeah, it was very well written, and the characters really had depth to them. And it's cool to just see characters on a TV show that are horror fans and also the leads, because, you don't really see that too often nowadays.
Oh, yeah. And I almost was kind of upset in how much I liked it. Like, it was really good. Like, it had no reason to be that good. Like, there's no reason why Nickelodeon now should be making something so well made. And I would honestly say it handled adapting something from the 90s for a new generation better than Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark did earlier this summer. Granted, I still love that movie, but I think this did a better job.
Is it Nickelodeon that did it?
Yeah. 2019 Nickelodeon.
Is it as kid-centric as the original series was? Because the original series was very like Goosebumps kind of a feel. It was only scary if you were like 8.
No, actually, this one was very well filmed, and I must admit I did jump once or twice. Like,
he did.
Nice.
Let me tell you something. Jacob and I also went to Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. When Jacob jumps, it's the greatest thing on earth. I love it so much.
I startle easily, I admit.
And it's so much fun. But he did jump a few times in it, and it's not like it's not like, when Pennywise in the new It movies is at his scariest. It's not like that type of scary, but it does get you at certain points, and they're definitely not going for that like cheese factor that you see in a lot of kids shows, especially like the 90s Goosebumps and original Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like, they handle it with a pretty serious tone, and my only complaint was I wanted to see more of Mr. Top Hat. who's the main villain.
Yeah, he's like there's like this bad guy. It's kind of, the story's got kind of like a sinister carnival theme. It's very Something Wicked This Way Comes, which again, perfect Kindred trauma. So yeah, I'm stoked to see episode 3 once that rolls out.
Yeah, and episode 1 is available for free online right now, and by the time this posts, probably episode 2 and 3 should be up at least, but it's definitely worth checking out, man. Like, it's real good, and it's something you can watch with your kids if you have kids.
And also after that screening, they played The Gate in 35mm.
Fuck yeah, they did.
And that was my first time seeing it.
Seeing it at all, or in 35?
I'd never seen it before.
Why do I think that you're a big fan of it's the Keep I'm thinking of?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very different.
Yeah, well, but that whole the and one syllable, I guess,
I'm the resident Big Gate fan here.
Okay, there you go. I'm getting you guys confused. But it is the Keep that I was getting it confused with on that end. There's just so much information that my brain can process before I lose some, so.
Yeah.
I mean, The Gate is a movie about kids that play a demonic punk rock heavy metal record. I mean, how is that like not super appealing to me?
With little Steven Dorff.
Oh yeah. And the sequel has Pamela Aldrin in it. Oh, that was like, she's always been a crush since I was like a kid and caught The Gate 2 on like a free HBO preview weekend. Oh.
And just some last words on like some of the other stuff I did at Beyond Fest. Let's see, got to go to a repertory screening of Madman. Very fun slasher, still holds up. Oh, and I got to go to the 4K The Evil Dead screening with the new score by Joe LaDuca. Looks beautiful, and I dig the new score.
They're showing that at the Ken down here for the midnight movie. I think in maybe 2 weeks. November 2nd, I think, is the day. So I was on the fence about going because these midnight movies are, I'm old, but maybe I'll go if it has your stamp of approval.
Just drink a Monster.
If you want to see The Evil Dead in crystal clarity, then there it is.
I've seen it on the big screen before, but is this a new transfer?
Yeah, it's a new 4K transfer and a new score.
Maybe I'll have to suck it up and actually go out of my house, leave the comforts of my house on a cold November night. I don't know.
And lastly, but not leastly, I got to go to the Joe Begos double feature of VFW and Bliss.
Yes.
And man, VFW was so badass. It's basically Assault on Precinct 13 with kind of an Expendables of action movie actors. You got Stephen Lang, William Sadler, Fred the Hammer Williamson fighting like drugged up psycho punks, and Bliss was a lot of fun. It was a real trippy, weird kind of vampire drug addiction type movie. And it is probably one of the more unsettling movies I've seen this year. Like it gets intense.
Cool. Let's move on to our subgenre of the bye week, which I'm going to be honest with you, I've forgotten what it is. So Jacob, let us know.
Well, I have a question for you, James.
Okay.
Do you want to party?
It's party time. Okay,
Why
I remember now.
him? What the fuck?
Not leaving you out. I just, I was just continuing the
I like
conversation.
to party.
All right, what's our subgenre? Let's let everybody else in on it.
Well, yeah, we're talking party movies, and Jonathan was the one who suggested it as a subgenre, and when you think about it, there are so many horror movies that revolve in and around or even titled parties. So, and considering, Halloween is very festive and partying time of season, it's definitely worth looking at.
When I think of party movies, there's always there's the old Corman, Slumber Party Massacre.
Yeah.
But the most fun one for me is Scream, because it seems like any of these slashers, these new slashers, whenever there's a killer on the loose, the first thing the kids do is have a party.
Yeah.
And Scream is it's like the town's under curfew, so they're like, let's throw a party, everybody's around and they're watching horror movies, just daring this killer to come in. So that's the one. And I think they had a similar party in Scream 4 as well.
Yeah, I think they did.
But the Scream movies had the fun parties.
Yeah, and back at it, of course, Slumber Party Massacre and Slumber Party Massacre 2 and 3 come to mind because they've got party in the title. And Yeah, again, it's just a pretty basic premise. A bunch of girls having a slumber party, and that's the thing. Like, it could easily go into the comedy genre because then you got the boys who want to crash the party, and like the adults who trying to be sterner, kind of looking the other way. Then you got a psycho killer with a drill crashing things.
Slumber Party Massacre is the most...
It's the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah. No, it's the most feminist horror movie ever.
All three directed by women. And co-written by women.
The first one is so funny because it's like the killer literally has a phallus, a drill, a phallic symbol as his weapon.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert for a movie that's almost 40 years old, the way they defeat him is by cutting the phallus.
Yeah.
They castrate the killer.
Uses a machete to cut off the drill bit, and he's powerless.
Oh. I love this. It's like we were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It's Slumber Party Massacre. It's not subtext. It's text.
Oh, yeah. Especially because he holds it basically at the groin level most of the movie.
He does.
And that movie is just so perfect in so many ways for me. Like, I was rewatching it again recently, and the scene in the beginning with the van, it's like, first of all, there's no reason like why they had like an attractive woman as like the electrician working on the poles, but they did. And then like he kills her in the van, and everyone's like, oh, someone's having a good time in there. It's like, no, she's getting drilled. No, not like that.
Nah. And I would like to mention Slumber Party Massacre 2, just because of how bizarre they take the movie. Because like the second one has a like Freddy Krueger-ish like greaser rockabilly killer who has a drill guitar and like stalks his victims in their dreams.
See, Slumber Party Massacre 2 is one of those movies that I feel like I should love. Like, it should be one of my favorite movies ever. And I don't know. I think I need to watch it like 3 or 4 more times before like I can find what I need to love about it. But I haven't found it yet. But I'll get there. And then I never remember what happens with 3. 3 just kind of always...
Yeah, 3 was kind of a rehash of the first one, but with like a bit more of a mystery element to it, and a little bit more heavy on the gore.
What's your go-to party horror movie, Korea?
Well, when I think ultimate horror party, you can't help but think of... Well, it's already kind of been mentioned, but Return of the Living Dead is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of partying I'm into, at graveyards.
It ain't no party unless it's in a graveyard, yeah.
Yeah, you got trashy people doing trashy things, and like...
Name trash.
Yeah, name trash. And I just, there's so much, that movie's just so like perfect to me, especially that soundtrack where it's just nothing but like banger punk rock from Suicidal Tendencies to the Cramps, just all around.
45 Grave.
Oh, so good, dude.
Yeah.
But there's just like that one moment where I forget the fully shaved character with the nose ring with the chain and everything.
Yeah.
And he's just like...
Suicide.
Yeah, Suicide. When he's just like, oh, like, why can't people just see... He's like complaining about not being taken like as a serious individual. And then like one of them just goes, shut up, dude. He's like, why can't they see that? Like, this is just an expression of how I feel on the inside. And they're like, shut the fuck up.
You think this is a costume? This is a way of life.
Yeah, there it is. But also... To me, one of the ultimate party scenes also is in Trick or Treat with the werewolf scene. When they all start shedding. Like, that looked like an awesome party, too. I mean, if you were a werewolf, if you're one of their victims, it didn't look that fun.
And during that scene, didn't they blast, like, Marilyn Manson?
Yeah, Sweet Dreams Are Made of These.
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson cover.
I love when that pops up in horror movies, like House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys, speaking of party movies, have either of you guys seen Climax yet?
No.
I still need to. I've had my Arrow release forever.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's Gaspar Noé, so you know what you're getting into. But it. I mean, you want to talk about a party movie. It is basically the first maybe 15 or 20 minutes is this dance troupe doing their thing. But then after that, it's just a party. And it just so happens somebody spikes the punch with LSD. So, not all trips are created equal.
Kind of sounds like a recent party movie. Does everybody remember Midsommar? That's like an ultimate party movie. Like, honestly, like, without, if it weren't for, like, you know, the murder stuff or the suicide stuff, like, that seems like it would have been a pretty cool festival to go to. You know, with all the humming and eating shrooms all the time. You know, that's a party.
And the meat pies.
Oh, dude, I fucking love meat pies.
Oh,
like,
God.
And then it's never dark out. Like, dude, like, yes.
Is it tomorrow? That's one of my favorite lines.
And I was going to say before, and, you know, for a more classy horror party experience, there's the House on Haunted Hill movies, the original and the remake, both revolving around parties at a haunted house and things going bad. And God. I mean, just in general, I would go to any party that was hosted by Vincent Price, haunted or not.
Dude, especially when Vincent Price is at his most sassy. Like, he was one sassy bitch in that movie, and I loved it.
Yes, he was. And I just love his hook, you know, like, there'll be... what was it? There'll be
food and drink and ghosts.
Yes, yes, that's the line. That's the line.
And maybe a murder.
Murder. Yes.
And then there's Night of the Demons.
Oh yeah.
Which, you know, this is Linnea Quigley got to go to the Return of the Living Dead graveyard party and the Night of the Demons soiree. She knows how to party on Halloween. Return of the Living Dead was actually a 4th of July party, I guess.
Yeah. So Linnea Quigley in Halloween and 4th of July.
There you go. Yeah. What other good party movies are there?
Well, I wanted to segue into this because I'm actually going to the screening tonight after this podcast, and I'm wearing the shirt right now. Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, and you know that's the thing. It's about a bunch of dude bros, so of course they're like partying and drinking all the goddamn time, and it's like an inverse on Slumber Party Massacre and all that because instead of a sorority or you know like schoolgirls, it's a bunch of meathead frat guys who who have to go to like this dorm house by the lake or something, and that's where we're gonna like do their frat partying, and their main antagonist is a female slasher named Motherface.
Probably my favorite villain name ever.
Yeah,
Motherface.
Yeah, they really knew their stuff when they were doing it, and it is, in my personal opinion, one of the funniest horror comedies of the 2010s. It's just because it's like the airplane of horror movies. There's like a joke every 5 seconds because you know it's like 5-second films made it, and yeah, they don't mess around with the kills. Like there's some pretty over the top like slashings and people getting ripped apart, and you know it's a good time.
Cool. Let's move on to our topic, which I'm going to let Korea introduce because he was the one who got inspired to make this our topic. So take it away, Korea.
Well, I mean, yeah, we try to cover stuff that's more topical, and this was something that popped up in the news this week. That Maniac Cop is, you know, Nicholas Winding Refn, whose name I always screw up, so my apologies.
Is that how you say it, Ren?
I thought it was
Refn. I always thought it was Refn too, but I could be wrong.
Dude,
Nicholas
I get names wrong
Refn?
constantly, so apologies to everybody, especially to you, Jake and Jam. Sorry, guys. Well, he's been developing a remake of Maniac Cop for years, and it just got greenlit at HBO as a TV series. And just thinking about like all the different movie franchises that have been turning to TV shows, that's been like a pretty big trend. I remember even just a couple years ago, it seemed like every major franchise was being tapped for a TV show. And mostly what I wanted to talk about is because like days before, I actually finally got around to watching the first two Maniac Cops. I haven't brought myself to watch the third one yet. I mean, after Lusting killed off Bruce Campbell within the first 12 minutes of the second one, you know, I'm a little still butthurt over that. But it got me thinking because when I was watching it, I didn't even think about the reboot happening. And then they announced the TV show. But there's this great moment in the original Maniac Cop where the killings have happened. It's starting to get out that it's a maniac cop doing this, and they're interviewing people on the street, and everyone's like, I'm scared. When I see a cop, I go on the other side of the street. I tell my kids to walk the other way. And then it cuts to a black person, and he says, yeah, they've been doing this to me and my friends for years. They've been shooting us in the back when we try to, when we're just walking down the street. And it was this really real moment within this pretty cheesy movie. And it was interesting because that scene is followed up by this white woman who's in a car that broke down, and this regular cop is approaching, but she gets so freaked out, she immediately pulls out a gun and shoots him in the face. Obviously, that wasn't the Maniac Cop, but I thought there was a lot that can be said about, the tensions between a lot of Americans and, and the police force, especially nowadays after all these riots and these video clips that are going viral every day. That there could be some interesting stuff to be said, but it sounds like Nicholas Wren just kind of wants to make like an 80s super new wave, colorful, as he said, cocaine fueled throwback. But I hope he takes a few moments to actually engage that. But anyways, to get back to like the real thing that we want to talk about is just what are some of your guys' like favorite shows that came out of franchises? What are some of the ones that you think are the worst, and what are some that you really want to see kind of either redone or followed up on a TV show?
Well, the first one that comes to mind for me, and I mean this is more of a technical thing really, but Tales from the Dark Side, the show, that kind of came from Creepshow, because they wanted to make a Creepshow anthology show on TV, Romero and King, but I think there was like a rights issue or something that kind of kept that from happening, so they made a new title, a new theme, Tales from the Dark Side. And it was just great that they were able to continue doing anthology stuff after Creepshow, and there's some real freaky episodes in that series, and especially a couple of Halloween ones, like my favorite probably being the Halloween Candy one with like the grumpy old man who messes with a Halloween goblin and gets cursed. And without Tales from the Dark Side, the thing, it was like a domino effect, because after that we got the anthology series Monsters, which was the anthology show with like a different monster every episode. So, it's kind of funny how that happened, and, keeping it full circle, now we have Creepshow, the anthology series on Shudder.
Which, speaking of Creepshow, I remember I had only seen the first episode, and I was not really complaining, but I was saying it was more Tales from the Crypt than Creepshow. The second episode with the werewolf soldiers, that is what I thought Creepshow should and would be, because that had the crazy primary color lighting with the comic book transitions. I mean, that was exactly what I was expecting. Now we are firmly into the territory of my shit when it comes to Creepshow. I'm all aboard.
Nice.
I also got a soft spot for the finger, the episode where the guy finds like a weird little claw, and it turns into a cute but deadly little monster named Bob.
And the newest episode, which will be the second newest once this is posted, with the kids who go basically hunting on Halloween. Have you guys watched that one?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Like, that had a real Creepshow vibe to it.
Yes, very much a Creepshow vibe to it, which is a good thing, because it was Creepshow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just meant that I was agreeing with what you were saying, that it recaptured the style that you were wanting. Same goes for the suitcase, where like a slacker finds a guy all twisted up like a pretzel in his suitcase, and every time he's in pain, like money comes out of him. Like, that had a real good kind of comeuppance karmic style.
Yeah, that one was almost more of like a Twilight Zone because of that comeuppance at the end. You're like, oh yeah, so.
Well, I still feel like the whole idea of the comeuppance is tied to Creepshow, because ties to EC Comics.
Yeah, I mean, the Tides one and the original Creepshow was definitely comeuppance all around, and same with the wraparound story with Tom Atkins, shouting at his kid, which he had the best story for that at the Q&A, but I'll leave that for another time.
Okay.
As far as like modern times goes, I remember how happy I was, and still am, that they made The Purge into a TV series, because the movies themselves have never actually really thrilled me. I think the first half is good until it turns into just a shoot 'em up. But the Purge movies, for such a strong concept, I've never been thrilled with the movies. But the series actually got me. I mean, it lost a little bit of steam towards the end because I feel like they didn't quite know how they were going for a series arc, and I don't think they quite pulled it off. But it was still, I mean, that's what I wanted to see from The Purge. So it was almost like they just took like a 10-hour movie, and that I was happy with that.
Me personally, I absolutely loved the Exorcist TV show because they really figured how to make it kind of like seasonal, episodic, but still tie it into the original series without spoilers really well. It was phenomenal. Plus, Gina Davis is always awesome. And John Cho killed it in second season and probably gave one of the most emotional scenes I've seen on TV in a really long time.
When Gina Davis shows up and reveals who she is, it's a stand up and cheer moment. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, although you could probably guess. But
I got so giddy.
It's a total stand up and cheer moment. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to agree with James. I really liked the Purge TV show, and now it's back for a second season. I need to watch the first episode, though, but mostly because, it's such a huge concept that, that series really gives it a chance to kind of explore all the facets of a show like that because, there's just so much you could do in one day when crime is legal.
My wife would, when they first came up with the concept, she was saying, what do they do the next day when, is there like a crew that goes and cleans up after the Purge? And it looks like that's what they're going to do with this new season. The Purge the next day.
Yeah, it's that in-between time, like people probably showing people preparing, people trying to plan, maybe try to get away with something and like set it up for Purge Day. I'm interested with that.
And I really like the promotional stuff they've been doing with it because they've been releasing these clips from... it's not Good Morning America, but it's styled like Good Morning America, where it's like this peppy TV show host talking about all the news from the Purge, and and you hear about like some of the crimes people did, like one company dumped all its garbage like all around the city because there's no dump. You could just dump whatever there and then, and. Exactly. There's just so many different angles to look at.
Yeah, I mean, there are more laws than apply to just murder. So, I mean, basically, if all crime is legal, like you're saying, let's go dump all of our, you can dump whatever you want. There's one guy in the first Purge goes to break into an ATM.
Yeah.
It's just like my favorite guy
again
in the whole movie.
I want to know, if someone takes over someone else's house, do they have to then start paying property tax on that? Like, no one has answered that question for me. But so real quick lightning round, what are some other great continuation shows from horror franchises? Ash vs. Evil Dead is an obvious.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
What about Freddy's Nightmares?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not so much an extension, but it was kind of interesting how they made an anthology show around Freddy, and with some connections.
He was the crypt keeper. There was one episode that was like his, not really origin, but what happened to him. Basically, his trial.
Yeah, but although there were a few episodes where like there was stuff that Freddy was doing. Like one of my favorites was like Freddy was screwing around with the head of this like general or somebody who was and was about to start a nuclear war, which kind of explored just like how dangerous Freddy could be if he really, went for it. Like he could drive a dude with the power to unleash nukes crazy.
Yeah.
What about the Friday the 13th TV show, which had nothing to do with Jason? It was just cursed artifacts.
I did want to bring that up because
it's a fun show.
Yeah, it was, and surprisingly gory. It's amazing what they were able to get away with.
It was like X-Files before there were X-Files, because it was kind of a monster of the week because they had to track down a different artifact every week, a different cursed artifact.
Yeah.
But then there was an overarching series, storyline between the
brother sister combo, right?
The evil uncle who wanted to come back from hell or something. And I was reading, that there was originally an idea to bring Jason onto the show with the revelation that Jason's hockey mask was a cursed item, and that's why he was invincible, or why he kept on coming back.
That would explain a lot.
But he came back a bunch of times, or a couple times before he got the mask.
Not invincible, because he got the mask in the third one.
Yeah.
He wasn't as invincible till he got the mask.
Yeah, in the second one, he was just a big guy.
Yeah.
Well, in the second one, that was basically him going through his adolescence, teenage years. As like, you can see it in his movements that he was moving around like an awkward teenager quite a bit. And then, yeah, sorry, I never did my dissertation on Jason's development through the movies. But yeah, that's how I view the second one, at least.
Pretty much.
Now, what are some bad examples of series that did not do it right?
You have been waiting to ask this question, so why don't you tell us?
All right. I mean, if you're going to impress... Fuck Damien, dude. They screwed that... How do you screw up Damien so much? I mean, like, God. Like, even Omen 3... I love that movie. It's not a great movie, but like they still explored so much of what an adult Antichrist can do, and there's so much story there that you can explore, and like they just wow. They made Omen 4 watchable. That's like, and I've had food poisonings more enjoyable than that movie. Ugh, I hated that Damien show so goddamn much.
Yeah, didn't it last like only 2 episodes before it was canceled?
Pretty much. I mean, like they aired the rest of it, I believe, but like it wasn't worth it. I think they kind of... Wasn't it on like A&E or something? It was on something that like some channel that had like no reason to like really be doing that.
Yeah, I didn't watch the rest of it, but like, did you guys see Bates Motel?
Yeah.
I started watching Bates Motel, but it took me out of it when Norman Bates had an iPhone. I was like, well, wait a minute. Are we retconning this, or is Psycho take place in the future? That took me out of it.
It was a prequel series that took place in modern time, and I'll admit I fell off because it was too much about the mystery of the town in the early seasons. But I heard it once it got like more into like closer to like Psycho timeline and like the final seasons and whatnot, it was good again. But yeah, I fell off that wagon pretty quick too.
Yeah, I tried watching the first couple episodes, but yeah, I just couldn't really quite get into it.
Do you guys consider Hannibal to be in this category that we're talking about?
Because
Hannibal was more about the books, but there were parallels to the movies. In fact, especially when they ended up, when that series finally ended, they were getting firmly into Silence of the Lambs territory there.
And Manhunter.
Yeah,
but that's a good one. That's an example of.
Oh yeah, no.
Series.
I couldn't think of any really bad ones, so I brought up Hannibal.
Yeah, which I feel terrible for not remembering. I am so sorry, Brian Fuller. Forgive me. But yeah, Hannibal is so good, and I'm a huge fan of the books, the movies. Hell, even Hannibal Rising had its moments, both the book and the movie. But yeah, that series was just gorgeous to watch. I mean, who could have known that cannibalism could have looked so appetizing, and that show just makes it look just like the food's so good, and then you're like, oh wait, crap, that is that dude's like liver that they're cooking right now. Crap. Did you guys ever watch the Mist TV show?
I did. I did not like it.
Ugh. Like, how bad was it? Because it didn't look good.
I mean, it wasn't... I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but just... They really wasted the concept. Like, it had some interesting moments, and it was kind of cool in some ways how they kind of twisted the story around, but yeah, it just took forever and anything to happen. And worst of all, no monsters. Like, the mist itself was kind of the monster. It like created hallucination or something. Like, I don't know, just after how great the 2007 Mist was, like the Spike TV show version without monsters just really let me down. And of course, although in terms of good adaptations and continuations, I keep on forgetting this just because, like you think about the show more than the movie. Like, this is definitely an example of the show superseding the movie, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Because, man, I loved that show when I was in high school.
And the show absolutely overshadowed the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I think part of that is because Sarah Michelle Gellar is a little more memorable of a Buffy than... Was it Christy Swanson? I don't even remember who it was. Is Christy Swanson?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think all around, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Donald Sutherland, but he wasn't as good as a Giles as the one they got for the TV show, whose name is escaping me right now. But I mean, yeah, the only casting that I wish would have carried over was Paul Rubens. Like, I wish Paul Rubens came back and played his character again on the TV show. I think that would have been pretty great.
And out of curiosity, did either of you guys see From Dusk Till Dawn, the series?
Yeah, I watched the first few seasons.
I watched the first season, but I just need to catch up.
I liked the show a lot. I mean, it was a bit slow in the beginning when it was. It's funny because when you watch the movie, the parts where it's like before the vampire, they get to the titty twister, I think is the film's strongest parts, where it's just the Gecko brothers. For me, that was always the part where it felt like two movies, and I really loved the first half. But the TV show, it was the opposite. Like in the beginning, like I don't know, it felt like I couldn't make that connection to these new Gecko brothers too quickly. But once they got like the things going with the vampires and the curses and everything, that show really picked up, and I really need to finish that show because I really had a lot of fun with it.
Now, what are some movies that you think would translate well to a television series?
Well, right off the bat, I'd have to say I would love to see a serialized version of Hellraiser.
Yeah.
You know, it could even be an anthology thing just about, like, different people in different places who come across the puzzle box and kind of how they react to it. You know, because, like, I was a big fan of the Hellraiser comics, which kind of did a similar style, and, you know, just a lot of different ways you can go about it.
Nightbreed.
Oh yeah,
Nightbreed
yeah.
would be great.
To stick with Clive Barker, I mean, I think Nightbreed would be I think they are trying to develop that into a TV show, but I think that's just like Madeira would just be a great world to explore in more depth than just another. Not saying that another movie wouldn't be awesome as well, but I think that it would just be great to have more time to spend in that world. Would be great.
I want to see a Saw TV series.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The Saw movies are kind of episodic anyway, because each movie you'll have a different person wake up in a trap. So you could basically do a couple of those an episode, you know, find out how they got into the trap, if they make it out. They could even do one of those freeze frames and say, does this person survive? Yes or no? You know, it could be interactive.
Ooh, you could even do like America's Next Top. No, what is it? America's Got Talent, or no, American Idol. You know, where it's like you have a couple stories going along, and they're like, who's gonna survive? Text now, and we'll have the results tomorrow night, and then like, you know, you play it out, right?
And then they have two different endings, like Final Destination 3,
yes,
where like they're
that should be a show. Final Destination.
Oh,
just
God.
And please get John Waters to direct it, because I know he wishes that he made a Final Destination movie.
Oh
Just
man, I could
imagine
only
that.
imagine what deaths he could come up with, because, you know, you look at Serial Mom, like he could get real creative with that.
I would say that we need an Amityville Horror TV series, but that's kind of like what the franchise has become.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think we do need it.
And I know I shat on it earlier, but I think Damien could be a good show. I think adult Antichrist, you know, you can get some real political stuff in there, because one of the big things about the Antichrist is that he unites the world, and he kind of becomes a false god. And then, you know, so there's a lot that you can explore with that. And I still think, you know, Taika Waititi should do it and like have it be kind of like a comical thing. And, you know, why not? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I mean, Good Omens, you know, got away with it pretty well.
Oh, Good Omens is so good.
Yes, it is. And let's see. In terms of other franchise shows, I also would have dug a Phantasm series. You know, speaking purely hypothetically. Imagine if they had made it in the 90s when the adventure craze was all the rage. And I mean, they made a Beastmaster show, so imagine if they were able to get away with that as a series. You know, just Reggie and Mike traveling the country, trying to track down the tall man and put an end to his corpse snatching.
Oh.
How have we gone this far with this topic without bringing up the Scream TV series?
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting.
Did any of us watch it? I never watched it.
Didn't really watch it.
That answers my question.
Well, that's one of those shows that's always like, oh yeah, I should watch that, and then I just never do. Like, it's nothing against the show. I hear, you know, just the fact that they rebooted it to be more like the 90s ones, with even bringing the mask back, but even them doing like a different mask and style, it always sounded interesting and what I want and something I would want to watch, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, I haven't actively avoided it either, but it just, too many movies, too little time.
Yeah.
I mean, I just haven't gotten to it. All right, final thoughts before we head out of here. What other TV shows do you wish would happen, or are you glad happened?
Ooh.
Going back to what James brought up before, that I'm such a huge The Keep fan. I would love, because I know Brian Fuller is also a fan of The Keep, I would love for Brian Fuller to do an adaptation of The Keep.
Like a mini-series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be an ongoing series, but the book is so huge. The story is so big. It should be like a 5 or 6 episode epic.
Yeah,
you know? And
Brian Fuller does such a great job of drawing on all previous source material. So, like with Hannibal, he drew from the books and the movies. So with The Keep as a series, he could draw on the books and the movie, especially that mood lighting. Goddamn.
But they need to bring back like Ian McKellen at that age, because
Yeah, it would fit.
he was a handsome fella back in the day.
He was.
Still is, for his age,
Yeah.
but like Ian McKellen in The Keep, whoa, he can get it.
Yes, and also I just love The Keep because he does kind of have a "you shall not pass" moment in the movie. Just kind of a call forward. But yeah, no, if they did, I would love for Brian Fuller to do a miniseries of The Keep.
Yeah,
Cool.
be down.
All right. Well, let's call this one an episode then on that.
All right.
Our music, as always, is Restless Spirit, so go and rock with them. And our artwork, as always, was done by Chris Fisher, so go and check him out. On the Twitters, you can find me, James J. Edwards, at Cinema Ferrite. That's like verite, but with fear, so it's Fearite. Where can we find you guys on the Twitters, Jacob?
You can find me on Twitter at Jacob Davison _. That is at JACOBDAVISON _ as well. You can check out my writing in the horror anthology podcast series Dead Time Stories on iTunes and Google Play.
And your voice acting.
Yes, I do voice act in a few episodes.
No way.
Yes.
Even one that he didn't write. He plays an archaeologist in the newest one.
Oh, you're making me blush.
Oh man, sounds like I might have to actually listen to some podcasts for once.
Well, I mean, it's more of an audio drama, so
Yeah.
if that'll get you listening.
Yeah, it's they're almost like radio plays, kind of, with less sound effects than a regular radio. But the new ones do actually have some sound effects. That's why I say this new one, he plays an archaeologist, and it's actually voice acting. It's not just reading a story, because there's like effects, and he's selling it too.
Yes, I go for the drama.
Oh yeah. Well, I got 12 hours of fly time tomorrow, so might as well.
Yeah, download some episodes.
Perfect.
Give it a listen, why don't you?
Yeah, that and Creepshow.
Where can they find you on Twitter, Korea?
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter and the Instagrams at Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIAN BBQ. You can also find me on Stardust. I have been posting. That's my big announcement. I have been posting. I posted a lot,
Nice.
and then I got sick. So then I stopped posting because who wants to see my ugly mug for 30 seconds when I look even more like shit? So, but yeah. So check that out.
Cool. And you can find all three of us at the Ion Horror Facebook page, the iHorror Facebook page, which is where we all call home. Hey, give us a shout. Let us know if we've forgotten your favorite TV show inspired by a horror movie, or if you think your favorite horror movie should inspire a TV show. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, and let us know how much Damien, the TV series that actually was made, really hurt and impacted your life. We do have a helpline for that. It's called 1-8... No.
Just tweet at us or post on Facebook.
Just we're not your therapist.
I will help console you.
All right, we're going to get out of here. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
I'm Jonathan Correa.
Keep your eye on horror.